most authoritative political show on Pan-African Television. We're also live on Facebook at Pan-African Television, on YouTube at Pan-African Television, as well as 48 African countries. You can join in the conversation by sending in your views, comments, and contributions on our WhatsApp stroke text line. I'll be reading those messages out for you. Those of you watching us on Facebook can share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch tonight's edition of the program. Don't forget to leave your suggestions, questions, contributions, and all of that on our socials, especially on Facebook, and I'll be reading all those out for you. My name is Justice Appear once again, and tonight on Hot News, we are looking at litany of issues. Supreme Court throws out injunction application against approving Akufo-Addo's new ministers. You know that Member of Parliament for South Day, in person of Roxy Nelson Dafia-Mekpo, went to court to halt the approval of President Akufo-Addo's, new ministers. This is because the minority would want to punish the president for not assenting to the LGBTQI, bill that was recently approved by the members of parliament. And so he went to court. We'll be discussing this particular matter. This issue has generated a whole lot of, conversation that we'll be looking at. President NADMO Akufo-Addo has fired the GRA boss, a 62-year-old GRA boss, replaces him with a 61-year-old, woman. This is also a topic that we are going to be looking at on the show. But before we get into the discussion, information reaching us here at Pan-African Television has said that a ferry that was traveling from Echi to Adolso on the Afram River, is missing. In fact, it has lost its way, and the people on the ferry are stranded as I speak with you. They have been on the river for the past 5 hours. We have received a distress call, from some, passengers on the ferry. We'll be crossing over to speak to these passengers as to where they are currently and what the situation is. We'll also be speaking to the NADMO. I have the communications director of NADMO in the studio, but we'll be getting director in that particular district, so that something could be done about the situation pretty shortly. But there's a video. I want us to watch it briefly. It was sent to us by one of the passengers on board. Let's listen to that.
Around 5:20, 25, and we have an issue with the ferry. So when we are on the ferry, we have a lot of problems on the ferry. There's rain on the ferry, and the wind is blowing. We don't know where we are. There's a lot of lightning. The women and children are crying. I think you can see us. We are now in the ferry. 6 o'clock we are now in the ferry. Yes. You can see how people are. We are panicking on the ferry since around 5 o'clock. We have an issue with the ferry, so we don't know where we are. There's rain. There's a lot of rain. Yes, it's a lot. It's so heavy. So at least. Yeah. Hello. Yeah, Pan-Africa TV. Yes, we have an issue. Your problem with ferry. So you have a ferry from 5 o'clock, 5:25, around 5:25, and I have a ferry, it's so heavy. And I'm from Abo, to say we are completely lost. So that's why I'm calling. Yes.
So I've been joined on phone by a passenger on board in person of Baba, Halidu. Baba, can you hear me? Hello, Baba. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. Baba is on board. Baba, can you hear me? Hello, Baba. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? Baba, your place is very noisy. If you can excuse yourself, I'll be happy. Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Hello, Baba, we can hear you. Can you hear me? Well, let me remind our viewers that currently we've been informed that Ferry traveling from Echi to River has lost its way. Currently, they don't know where they are on the river. They've been on the river for the past 2 to 3 hours. Do not know their feet. I'm told Baba is here. Baba, can you hear me? Hello?
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 Yes, hello, can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Right, tell us, what is the situation currently?
Yes, we took off from Eti to Adosu. Yes, we took off around 5:25. Yes, when we are on the ferry, we have a lot of problems. There's rain and then the wind is blowing us left and right, and we took it far for more than 3 hours. People are crying, women and children are really crying. It's a serious panic situation because the rain and the lightning, so the pontoon gets off completely. So we don't know our bearing. We don't know our bearing. Finally, there's a lot of issues on the ferry. People are just crying here and there, especially women and children are crying here and there. But the crew on board, they keep telling us it will be well, it will be well, it will be well. But finally, we are managing the situation. We are trying to manage the situation on land.
Can you please confirm to us where you are traveling from and where your destination is going to be?
We are from Adosu to Eti.
Adosu to Pechi. Peki. Okay.
Eti, yes. We bought the ferry from Adosu to Eti. Yes.
I mean, what time exactly did you start? Did you start your journey?
Around 5:25. Around 5:20. Yeah, around 5:20 something. We start the journey. Yes.
Right, so you're saying that currently you do not know where exactly you are on the river?
Yes. But I think the captain will know where exactly we are. The captain will know because I think they have compass. So they will know exactly where our bearing is. And we hope to get on. We hope to land safely.
What's the number of hours that it takes the ferry to travel from Adosu to your destination?
Without any problem, it's about 20, I think it's not more than 30 minutes from Echi to Adosu. Or from Adosu to Echi. It's about 25 minutes to land. If there's no issue, the way we have this issue today, if there's no issue, it's about 25 minutes journey on the river.
I see, and you're saying that for the past 2 to 3 hours, you have been on the river without knowing where exactly you are.
Yes. But I think for now the situation is calm because they talked to us and the wind has almost stopped. So now they are in control of the ferry. Yes, they are in control of the ferry, and they know they have their compass. So I think they can manage to land here.
Can you tell us the number of people on the ferry currently?
Oh, the number of people, we are a lot. I can tell you we can be at least if I'm not lying, we can be about 70. But the cars that are in the ferry, there are a lot of cars. The cars may be more than 15 cars. So, yeah, more than 15 cars.
Now, can you confirm to us? Is it a ferry or a boat?
It's a ferry.
We normally call it pontoon, but it's a ferry.
So you are saying that now calm has restored, and the captain is able to locate your current place of your current location.
Because they have compass, so they are able to locate our current position, and then the wind, so that the wind and the rain has completely come down. So people, the panicking is almost down. The panicking is almost down. So people are, because they talk to us, the crew on board came to us and they are telling us it shall be well, so nobody should panic. But, you know, the way that thing happens, everybody is panicking on board. And more than 3 hours, we don't know where we are. In total darkness, you can see, I sent a picture, I sent a short video.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, okay.
That is the situation.
Right. Since you can now, see exactly where you are, your location, I think that we may have to leave you, but we'll come back for an update when the need be. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We are so grateful for your time. Baba Halidu is a passenger on board the missing ferry, and he's been telling us their ordeal and what they went through, what actually transpired, and what led to the ferry, losing its way and all of that. But we can assure viewers that passengers are safe. The captain is able to, sail and redirect, the ferry to its proper destination and all of that. And so let's hope and pray. Let's pray for them. Let's pray that they get to their destination safely. But tonight on Hot News, I'll be joined in the studio by Mr. George A.C., Director of Communications, NADMO, and a member of the New Patriotic Party Communications team. Mr. A.C., thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be here.
Right, this falls under your jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Is this something that happens, most often? Is this something new, or this is something that comes to your notice? Or when it comes to your notice, how do you get them out of this situation?
No, to be honest with you, good evening to yourself, your production crew, my colleague here, and our viewers. This is the first time getting an SOS call in respect of this a ferry losing its bearing, and as a result of stormy winds and then rains and co. Initially, I thought it was a boat, a boat, a normal boat, outboard motor and others. But when I heard him saying it's a ferry, I calmed down. I called the NADMO director for Afram Plains North, and then he said the place Etsi to Adoso is within the Afram Plains South. And so we're trying to connect the South director, but unfortunately, we're not getting him till we got on air. So once is that, and from the words of the passenger, I'm comforted that there's hope. It's not as scary as we initially thought. He says, I was surprised because if it's a ferry, they have a compass. I recently used the ferry from the Kitikrach end to Dambai. You get it. And then the area there to cross the Uti River to Dambai. And so, yes, I know they have a compass bearing, there's a captain and all that. So it's a well-managed ferry. And so once they have, he said they have about 70 people on board and about 15 cars.
Yes.
And cool. So, yes, I pray they steer safely to Beth so that they will all be alive and kicking. I'm happy it's not about sinking or something. You get it. So I think they will be safe. I think they will be safe. Once the captain is in charge and he's taking control and they have the compass is going to give them their direction and they will go to where they are supposed to bathe.
Right, thank you so much, Mr. George A.C. Very well.
Yes, and we'll keep in touch. I've asked my North Distant to speak with the director for the South so that if they can be in touch or deploy people to wait at where they are supposed to dock, you get our berth then they can see the assistance they can give the people.
Very well. Thank you so much for the good job you've done. Thank you. We are so grateful. That was Mr. George, Director of Communications.
This is media fast. You know, you get us to also get to do our work to help. We work in partnership. That's good.
Very well. Very well. Also in the studio with me is the Upper West Regional Organizer of the National Democratic Congress in person of Prince Mahmoud. Prince, how are you doing? How is the Upper West?
Upper West Deputy Regional
Organizer. Regional Organizer. Okay,
yes,
so Upper West Deputy Regional Organizer. Sorry, I have taken your boss's position
for me.
Can you forgive me?
Yeah, we are good, and let me also use this opportunity to say a very good evening to our cherished viewers, yourself and my colleague panelists in the studios. And Chairman Bonas extends his greetings to you.
He's my very good friend.
Yes.
My brother and my friend.
At least he is watching you tonight. So.
Chairman, good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll call you immediately after the show. Anyway, Prince, I mean, I'm sure you would want to probably say some few words to our friends and colleagues.
And I think that it's refreshing. We have our officer, whom I'm sure if he was not here, that it would have possibly been somebody that you could easily reach out to find out more. And per what the passenger said and the few information he has given us, especially refreshing that he has spoken to his officers there to see if they can wait for them at the other side. Apart from everything, they will equally require this psychological support. If they arrive and see that at least NADMO officials are around with other security agencies, at least it will provide some form of psychological relief to them. Naturally, there are two things I fear, and one is water. The other is height. So I have never had the experience of joining the ferry,
or any boat.
I remember I had to meet some people in the northern part of Volta. I think that's where he was, Kratchi and Dambai area. I drove up to where the ferry, I think that was Dambai, and I had to plead on the people to cross the Pantuena. So, I mean, it's a necessary route they will have to ply. Not comfortable anyway, but those are some of the challenges. But at the end of the day, we are grateful to Almighty Allah for providing them the way now. I think some of these things will always remind us on some of the things that we should do as a people. For instance, one will want to ask the passengers on board how prepared were they in the case that up till now they were not finding their way through. What are some of the emergency measures that the operators of the ferry had put in place to make sure that so I think these are some of the things that Mr. Yisi and his office should further push, but sometimes you don't know when it comes. So that's the
right. Thank you so much for your submission. Now let's move to the substantive topic of discussion, and it's about the Supreme Court throwing out injunction application against approving President Dankwa Akufo-Addo's new ministers. The Supreme Court has dismissed an application for an injunction against approving President Akufo-Addo's new ministerial appointees. The application, filed by the Sub-Day legislator Roxanne Nelson Dafiamepo, was deemed frivolous and an abuse of court processes by the Apex Court. There were interesting twists as the Supreme Court presided over the application filed by the National Democratic Congress Member of Parliament as the fate of newly nominated ministers and reshuffled ministers appointed by President Dankwa Akufo-Addo hung in the balance. Now, this was the application based on which the Speaker of Parliament decided to hold off on okaying the new appointees after their vetting. In his lawsuit against the Speaker of Parliament and the Attorney General, the defendant, Dafiamekpo, argued that the President should have sought parliamentary approval before messaging ministers whose appointments were revoked. President Akufo-Addo's reshuffle on February 14, 2024 saw 13 ministers and 10 deputy ministers relieved of their posts, while 6 were reassigned to various portfolios. But after the court proceedings, the Attorney General spoke. Let's listen to the Attorney General. We'll be right back.
Of what went on in court. Even Parliament was opposed to the application. On the cases that are being heard, there are those who have taken the view that some cases were filed 2 weeks prior to this case being filed, and the Supreme Court has proceeded to deal with it. The Chief Justice himself has raised issues about persons not prosecuting their own cases. What do you make of it? Yes, I mean, as I said, it's most unfortunate that persons will file processes before the court and then fail to take an interest in it. And indeed, even when the same application for interrogatory injunction is pending has not been determined a day before, they proceed to go and file another application for interrogatory injunction. There cannot be a greater demonstration of a desire to abuse the court process than this. Clearly, it shows an attempt to frustrate the Republic from pursuing its business and all. And that is why it's necessary that as lawyers for the Republic, we take a keen interest in whatever happens and make sure that such things are dealt with so that the state business can proceed. On record in Parliament is a letter that I wrote to the Speaker asking him to reconsider his decision and all. So I expect Parliament, after having come to the Supreme Court to oppose this application, to also reconvene and deal with the matter relating to the approval of the ministers. There's nothing at all that impedes or inhibits Parliament from doing its work. They ought to do their work. And I think that the adjournment of proceedings was most unjustified, yes, and uncalled for.
So that was the Attorney General and Minister of Justice in person of Godfred Ibuadame, right? That was, after the court proceedings. He is urging Parliament to approve the new ministers appointed by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. But I'll start with you, Prince, on this issue of approval of new ministers and all of that. The minority, especially Roxy Nelson Dafiamekpo, went to court. He wanted to place an injunction on the approval, but the court says otherwise. The court says no. The application in itself was frivolous and lacks merit. Your take on that?
Thank you very much. I think on this issue of whether or not Parliament is going ahead to vet and approve the ministers that were recently appointed by the President, depending on where you sit and how you look at it, it will come with different interpretations. But let me start by saying that it is the President's right under the Constitution for him to appoint people to help him serve the good people of this country. You recall that this recent reshuffle that we witnessed somewhere last month in February, a lot of people describe it as long overdue. Even at a point, members of the MPP themselves, senior members of the party, came out to say that they feel the President should carry out some reshuffle. Eventually, it did happen. The style and manner in which it came, whether it satisfies what Ghanaians were expecting, is another thing. There, the vetting started. I'm not too sure, but I quite remember that a good number of them have gone through the vetting process in Parliament. I'm not too sure whether all of them have gone through the vetting process or not. At the end of the day, what was the minority's position at the vetting committee? My the little information I have regarding that is the minority members on the vetting committee generally did not have any major opposition to the nominations made by the president. But we live in a country that rule of law is what we have all agreed to be our way and guide. So the member of parliament had the right in its merit to test the laws. Now, we have a case where the Supreme Court has finally taken a decision by throwing away the injunction application by Honorable Roxanne. Whether it's frivolous or otherwise, that is for the judges and the lawyers to determine. I'm not one.
Right.
So I'm unable to tell how a frivolous application looks like or sound. But as a packet lawyer and somebody who also have interest in what happens in our country and as a politician, somehow we also read around the stories and what happens around the Supreme Court and Parliament. Primarily, it was a test of the law. There is a saying that if you don't visit a family, you will not be accused of picking something from that house. What am I trying to say? We have a case where a similar application has been made to the Supreme Court by a private legal practitioner, also seeking for a very similar injunction on another arm of government. Remember, what Honorable Roxanne applied for at the Supreme Court is to restrain Parliament from performing a particular duty, which is an arm of government. What Richard De La Sky is also seeking at the Supreme Court is also trying to prevent or to let the president stay off performing his constitutionally mandated duty. Now, we are allowed to also review some of the issues that surround the activities of the Supreme Court. That is not to say that we are questioning their authority or trying to prejudice. What is important is that in legal affairs, common sense is applicable in many forms. We had a case much older in a similar fashion, in a similar form at the Supreme Court, which was seeking to restrain the president from performing his constitutionally mandated duty, which, in my assessment, enjoy a lot of support from the citizenry. And that is the president assenting his signature on the LGBTQ plus bill. Now, the Supreme Court thinks that that is not so necessary. It is not a matter of agency for them, but rather the vetting and approval of the president ministers is what is much pressing in their estimation and what is much more important for us as a people. So you see, when that happens, the issue of sequence of priority comes in. Which one is a priority, especially when the latter had gone to the Supreme Court some almost 3 weeks before the suit filed by Honorable Roxanne went. They decided to choose the latter. What again we must be looking at is what happened, and the Speaker of Parliament also took that decision. Well, one may say that it was truly because of what he said at the last sitting in Parliament before Parliament was adjourned. But those of us outside are at liberty by the happenings to also arrive at a conclusion that the Speaker of Parliament, even though actually he made reference in his statement to the action of the President and his Secretary, we will also be fair to arrive at a conclusion that it was a form of a tit for tat, because in the Secretary's, the President's Secretary's letter to Parliament, he indicated that they wanted to respect the rule of law and they were careful not to prejudice the outcome of whatever the Supreme Court will be coming out with. Right. Strangely, I have spoken to a few lawyers. I have been close to them, and what I do know is that the intention to injunct cannot be the same thing as injuncting. The intention to seek for an injunction cannot be equated to seeking an injunction on a particular matter.
Right.
What it means is that the presidency set a very bad precedence.
Okay.
And I'm not surprised Parliament also followed suit. At the end of the day, what will be the end result for all of us? As a party, we don't have any challenge or any problem in approving the ministers that were nominated by the president. We don't have any official position to say that don't approve them or that. At the end of the day, we have literally some 8 to 9 months for the next general elections, which we are very comfortable and confident that the National Democratic Congress, under the leadership of John Dramani Mahama, will be forming the next government in 2025. This period left, we don't see anything different that these people, these new appointees will be bringing on board. Like I said earlier on, the impact of it, whether better late than never or it is just what it is. In some few days past, we've been hearing that some regional ministers have also been reshuffled. I don't know how true that is, especially Upper West and Upper East. Those are the rumors that we are hearing. That is also part of the president's reshuffle he did recently. So for me, I think that the Chief Justice and the entire judicial setup should try to win public confidence that they are acting independently and of their own minds.
Are you suggesting that the judiciary is not acting independently? They are acting on the orders of somebody, and who could this person?
Just as you will agree with me that today, as we speak, the public has formed an opinion about our judicial system, especially the actions and inactions of our Supreme Court judges. That is what the public opinion is.
Right.
And I'm always quick to add that that opinion was not formed out of nothing, but it was formed out of the actions and the way the Supreme Court judges, especially the Chief Justice, have acted over this period. How did we get this common phrase of unanimous FC? It didn't come out of the blues. It came out of consistent act of the apex court of the land.
Others are of the view that it is appearing as though anytime the NDC goes to court, or any member of the NDC goes to court, and the person loses the case, the Supreme Court or the judiciary becomes a subject of attack of the National Democratic Congress.
That's not the case. Maybe except that you can give me some example. That is not the case. What I'm saying is that I raised an earlier point on sequence of priority. That is it not of is it not interesting that a similar case of the same kind of Honorable Dafiema Paul has been served. An application has been served at the what's the name, the Supreme Court, and it is seeking to restrain the president or the executive from performing a constitutionally mandated duty, which went way ahead, and it is also of, it's also a matter of national and international interest.
Right.
Now, the Supreme Court thinks that that is not very important and it's not very necessary. But what came later, which is just about, what's the name? The vetting and approval of ministers. They think that one is very important. And if you listen to the, what's the name? Attorney General's minister, he said that he wrote a letter to the Supreme Court to expedite action on the case brought by Honorable Roxanne. But he did not see it necessary to write same letter on the case that was brought by Richard de la Sky. Doesn't it raise certain what's the name questions? So it didn't come out of the blues that that opinion has been formed about the Supreme Court.
Right. Thank you so much for your submission. Viewers, you are still watching Hot News right here on Pan-African Television with me, Justice Appiah. You can join in the conversation by sending in your views, comments, and contributions on our WhatsApp/text line displayed on the screen. I'll please want my director to display the text and then WhatsApp line for our viewers to be able to send in their messages and all of that. If you're watching us on Facebook, please share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch tonight's edition of the program. Please share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch tonight's edition of the program. So you see, now let me come to you on this issue of injunction, application of injunction filed at the Supreme Court to have the process stalled, the approval process of the new ministers appointed by President Akufo-Addo halted.
Yeah, thank you. It's not only frivolous as the Supreme Court says, it's also vexatious.
Okay.
And I don't know whether he's been slapped with a fee. He should be slapped with a fee, higher fee, so that you pay through his nose. And learn that you cannot take the courts for granted, especially the Supreme Courts.
But they said it's frivolous and waste of the cost.
Yes, yes. That's why I added the vexatious angle to it, so that he should be slapped with a higher fee. Then, he's my friend, but sometimes when you do some of these things, and he's an officer of the courts, you get it, so he knows better. Yeah, he's a lawyer. And so, because there's a clear ruling on these matters, you remember the J.H. Mensah versus the Attorney General or something? Yes, so there is a case, the Supreme Court of Ghana has given a clear ruling on that, okay, and the Papa J. That's, when a minister, Papa J wanted them to move and block after the 1996 election. You get it? So 97, the ministers who were there should continue without recourse to parliamentary approval and co. And then the Supreme Court said, no, that term is over. There's a new term, right? And so any existing officer so is ended. And so there should be a clear one. And then when he did a reshuffle, they said, no, once they are there, once you move them from one place to another, it doesn't mean they must go through everything. They are already ministers of state and must continue as such. Okay? So there's a clear ruling on that. So I didn't see why Roxanne Nelson, the Honorable, decided to go and waste everybody's time.
Okay.
Thank God the Supreme Court, in their wisdom and based on the premise of the law, decided to emphatically let the law reign. That is a good ruling for all of us. And I thought the Speaker was overly partisan, overly needlessly partisan, and gave that capricious ruling of suspending work of Parliament and saying that it's so because there is an injunction on that. And the Attorney General did advise the Speaker that, look, that injunction was not against the people who have been vetted. You get it? It's against those who just moved and were not vetted because they were already existing ministers.
Right.
You get it? And so you can get that separately from these people who have been vetted by Parliament so properly done and then allow them to take office. You get it. Those who are not vetted, we have the Honorable Kojo Oponkroma, right? Asenso Boache, you know, Amin Anta, the finance minister, of course, Ambrose Derry, now office of the president, then of course, the giant himself, the Honorable Henry Korti. So these may be plus others that I have not mentioned. They should forgive me. So the Speaker of Parliament, I agree with my brother that what he did was like a payback. You get it, to the president for what the president, through his executive secretary, wrote to the August House of Parliament. Now, I heard my good friend, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and others saying the president was trying to stampede Parliament and, you know, direct Parliament as to what to do on the heels of the fact that we are practicing the system of Montesquieu's separation of powers, right? And so he doesn't see, the president didn't attempt to do that. The president, in writing that letter, many people have reservations about it, said Parliament itself is clothed with the information that there is an injunction attempt on the LGBT, okay? Right. And you know, you are fortunately an aspiring officer of the courts, and so, you see, we are looking at human rights issues contained therein, which human rights issues can become a major issue when we don't handle these matters well. Right. Parliament has finished its work. Della Sky and Dr. Amanda Odoi of the University of Cape Coast, they feel that no, there are certain contents therein, if you don't look at it, it will worry everybody. Okay, whether the rise of the LGBT people themselves or other ordinary people like myself, you and co, if you happen to be a landlord, what is the law saying? You are a journalist. If you decide to discuss on the LGBT matters and you make certain commentaries that are seen to be promoting or advancing the cause, you can be hauled before a court. You get it? And if you are not careful, you can be imprisoned. These are matters that are hinging on human rights matters and so must be properly addressed. That is what the majority leader decided to draw the attention of the House, but it was shut down. So he decided to let go.
But that notwithstanding,
yes.
I mean, people have also advanced an argument that, yes, there was an application for injunction in court by Richard Della Sky and one other lecturer, and all of that from UCC.
Yes.
But if you juxtapose what is happening to that of the e-levy, there was an application of injunction in court, yet the president went ahead and assented to,
there are two different things.
To that bill.
There are
so why is the president shying away from this particular
There are absolutely
and would want to hide behind the fact that there's an application for injunction
in court? You see, the president letter, let's interrogate it well.
Right.
You know, I understood why the president made the secretary to write the letter. You know what it means. The moment the letter goes to the president, the counting begins. 14 days, right? Right? So
40, is it 14 or 42?
There's a 14 before there's a 30-day, you know, when is it 30 or 90 days to the Council of State when he decides to use that one.
Right.
Okay. So you granted, let's leave it. There's a number of days that the president can keep the document, and if within those days he's not able to append his signature or assent to it, he must write to Parliament to give reasons for that. You get it? And I believe that is what the president wants to avoid and say, look, we are both, the executive and the legislature, are clothed with the information that there is an injunction on these issues. Parliament that is a lawmaker, why would Parliament be seen to be infringing on the laws of the land? You get it? So let's allow the judiciary to do its work and give us the information that we can proceed. So don't begin the process of transmitting the thing so that the counting doesn't begin. Parliament in its own wisdom says no. Once we are finished, it's to be transmitted. So we have, yes, they reserve the right. You get it? But what it means is that it means they are not aware that there's an injunction somewhere. unless Parliament is saying so. So these are issues that, you know, was brought forward, and I thought we can continue to engage on that. If somebody takes it to call for proper interpretation, it will help all of us. So, and again, I said that the LGBT and the e-levy are two different matters. Okay? The lawyers will tell you.
Are they all not bills that were?
Yes, they are all bills, but the consequential effects are different. One, the LGBT one is a human rights matter. Okay. Yeah, so it ought to be thoroughly determined, gone through and determined. Now the e-levy is a tax, you get it, that is being passed. Now, once it's a tax something, when and it is contingent on the timing of it. So it is such that if it's to be implemented from day 31 of maybe March, okay, and then you hold on till about maybe because of injunction and co, you say you wait till August, the case finishes. You cannot have retroactive effect to go and take the taxes from between 31st of March up to 30th of August, right? And so those ones would have been gone, or unless you decide to know, you get it. So they need that revenue, and that's how come the government says we'll go ahead and implement. If you give a ruling and it's contra against that, we'll refund the money to the people. Okay, that is easier than waiting and then saying we are now coming to collect the money from you, retroactive. It's very difficult. You get it? So those were the context within which those the president decided to say let's sign this one because it hinges on revenue for the state. That is different. So these are matters that we need to look at properly. I'm happy Ghana has a very brilliant Attorney General who is decided, and let me explain the other one too. That Attorney General, yes, wrote a letter to the Supreme Court because he's saying that if you don't work on these things, it is going to impinge on government business. Because these are ministers of state who are supposed to go to their office and function to propel government machinery. Okay? So that the people's welfare and government programs and policies are rolled out. And so if you do what the speaker is doing, or because somebody is going to court and co, if you don't expedite action on it, government business will come to a halt. What happens to people who want their documents signed at maybe the Ministry of Works and Housing or the Ministry of Health and co? Health Minister was one of those people who were, you get it, who are to be approved and co. And we don't have a Health Minister. Okay, so I think a health and a deputy from health. So these are matters that the Attorney General said, look, there's an argument which I heard that I thought, okay, the lawyers should rather look at that. The argument was that when the Attorney General wrote this letter, he should have copied the other party, you get it, that this is what is written to. But I thought, no, once the Supreme Court receives it, they then look at its merits and decide that, yes, it's important and expedient that we expedite action on this and pay heed to the Attorney General's request. They themselves, if they decide that we are commencing hearing tomorrow, of course, the other party will be given notice to come to court. You get it? So these ones are matters that are clear, that any common sense person who is ready to understand the processes of the law will be able to take that.
Not serving the whims and caprices of anybody.
No. The Attorney General went there to make his argument. You get it? So you must be before the law lords to come and make your case. That's the apex court of the land. You get it? So I thought proper processes, and they are mindful. You know, you see, let's look at something. In 2013, that ruling, people make the argument that, look, that when NDC went to court, every Supreme Court judgments and co, they factor the mood of the state or the country into their decision making. As you are a law student, right? You get it, and they put the interest of the state over and above whatever other interest is being considered. You get it. So what will be the effect of whatever ruling, this way or that way, on the cohesion of the nation? The law lords factor all those things before making their decision. You get it? And so these are matters that we'll look at. So they are not just there to whimsically or capriciously give ruling just for the sake of it. No. They cannot bring these. That's how sometimes you, the media, they tell you you are the fourth estate of the realm, and then you should be mindful of pronouncements of people on your platforms and all that. You get it? Because you reach far and you have impact and effect on people. Okay? So I'm happy that this issue is gone this way.
Right.
Parliament should come immediately and then do what they need to do. So that the ministers can, if they can be called on the emergency basis, they should be called to approve the ministers so that government business can continue without grinding to a halt. Let's look at that. It's very, very important.
Thank you so much, Mr. NC, for your submission. Now, let me take a few of our messages. I'll come back for us to wrap up. Please don't call the WhatsApp line. You can leave your questions, contributions, suggestions, and all of that, and I'll read.
But the last one, he said the public is not public opinion, it's NDC opinion. An NDC chairman, current chairman, said Chachuchi Kata advised them that what they're doing was much ado about nothing. But they decided to move. How can you go to court without a shred of evidence?
Right.
Okay. This is a waste of everybody's
Thank you.
time.
Let me take a few of our messages. This one says, Justice, what I do you way you they behave like Napo stroke MPP Bawumia's arrogance on me like that. You didn't read my messages. If I want, I should read my own messages. Simon in Boga sent in that one. Simon, but I have read your message. I just did. This one says, can't the Air Force take their plane to locate the ferry? Well, the situation is calm and they are okay now, right? I believe they are okay now. This one says, hi guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If the situation, if it had not been what we got now, and we've spoken with the director there, and I get straight to my director general, he can get the army commander to
take that decision.
Deploy a helicopter.
Right. Very well. Yes. Thank you so much, Jesse. Hi guys, my name is Joshua, watching you from Zambia. Thank you so much, Joshua, for your message. This one says, good evening, Justice. Kindly extend my best regards to Senior Comrade Prince Mahmood. He's a great communicator and a committed one at that. I love listening to him. SK Adam in Wa sent in that one. SK, thank you so much. This one says greetings. Greetings to you as well, my brother. This one also says, hi, Justice. The MPP communicators shouldn't think that power will be theirs forever. They see black and yet they see white. God is watching over them. Emmanuel from Bolga sent in that one. This one says, good evening, Justice. The MPP is known for changing black to white, so we are not surprised at all. By the grace of God Almighty, Mahama will surely come to sanitize the system. All right, thank you so much for your message. This one says, good evening, Justice. It is now clear that the MPP government is willing to bring, well, I don't really read that message. This one says, can there be a caretaker ministers? Oh, well, I really don't know. Caretaker minister, it happens sometimes. The president has made his appointment. So the MPP man is saying today that the president is more concerned about 2 citizens going to court than the whole country crying to him to sign the bill. All right, thank you so much for your message. Abbas Amongobo Offenso, good evening, Justice. The MPP is killing Ghanaians with bad governance. We are suffering. We should all be up against Bawumia's coming to be president in this country. This one also says, hi. Keep your messages coming. I think we have just about 5 minutes. Prince, I'll give you, yeah, we have 5 minutes to I'll give you 2 minutes out of that.
On the topic or to end the whole show?
No, yeah, to end the show. My show is just an hour.
That's fine. I listened to
okay, so you let me plead for 5 minutes, 5 extra minutes. Senior man, Dion, I beg you. There's nobody there. Okay, all right. But where's TT? So kindly, prompt TT for me that I need 5 more minutes. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I listened to my colleague and I think that is quite interesting. You see, that's why I was careful initially when I was speaking. He is reminding us of the fact that there was a similar earlier case trying to test the law on whether or not the president can ask ministers to continue after reshuffle and all those things. And being the reason why he has also added another adjective to what the Supreme Court described Honorable Roxanne's case. Yes. In the case of Richard Sky, there is also an earlier similar case against Parliament not to go ahead and pass that bill they are seeking the president not to sign today. I think that was 7 July 2023.
Right.
And the Supreme Court took a decision on that. The Supreme Court took a decision on that and threw away that particular injunction as well. So what is different now? Because the injunction is seeking to, get the same thing done. And you see, I'm happy my brother is saying that it's not public opinion, it's NDC opinion.
Right.
On this particular bill, the bill enjoys 93% of Ghanaian support. So I don't know whether
so you
NDC,
have 3 more minutes.
I understand.
Some 3 more.
Three more
so you are doing
minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Thank you very much. 93% of Ghanaians supports the passage and the signing of this bill into law. So are we being told today that the 93% of Ghanaians are all NDC members? Apart from that, you have our religious leaders all around the country speaking the same voice. Some of them can't even wait. They are going to the president to engage the president on why he is not signing the bill into law. We have our traditional leaders across the length and breadth of this country singing the same song, that the president should assent to the bill and let it operate as a law. We have the entire majority in Parliament standing in for the passage of the bill. Whether majority leader had his own challenges or his own interpretation on some portions of the bill, that one does not defeat the fact that he is part of the passage of that bill in Parliament. And we shouldn't speak as if the bill just came from somewhere and didn't go through all the processes in Parliament. We know that it went through the committee stages where it's not only NDC members of Parliament that form those committees. So if you have all these things happening around the same bill, and from the look of things and listening to my brother, I think it has come to affirm the fact that they really don't have any interest in getting the president to sign this bill into law. And like I said earlier on, whether you have the ministers passed or not, our party's position is not to say that we want to frustrate any process. No, not at all. That is why at the committee level, you didn't have in the past, we've had situations whereby our members at the committee level will clearly and vehemently oppose certain nominees at the vetting committee level. But we have not had same in this particular situation. But you see, it's a worrying situation. And I like the way he
Right, kindly step down for me.
Yeah, I like the way he did it with the e-levy and all those things. And mentioned the issue of health, that the health minister, in this bill, arguments have been advanced that it borders on the health of this nation And as we speak, the country is spending so much money in maintaining people who are in those acts. So either way it goes, it is a matter of national interest and even to some extent national security.
Thank you so much, Prince, for your submission. I'm so grateful. Sorry, but I had to cut you because
the time. I thought we were doing up to 10:30.
No, we are going up to 10:05. Leslie, kindly take us on.
Yes, I think he came ready to debate LGBT issues. I know the policy of the stations. I'm not going to double too much into that. Whatever it is, the bill has gone through the stages. It's been passed. It's been passed in Parliament. Once the president assents to it, it becomes law. You get it? And so that is where some people feel there are certain things that ought to be looked at critically. Okay. So that is it. And look, well, there are a lot of people who don't support the issue of these LGBT, so they are gay nonsense. Forgive my choice of language. Yeah, but I personally, if you do the reading, the neological reading of these LGBTs, it's not to be considered as even a human right. It's not to be considered as, because it's something you are in your room doing. But the issue comes in when you are a landlord, me being your tenant, and I have a visitor, and the law says you are obliged to ensure that you get it. And that is, and dragging you into the matter. Those are some of the worrying aspects. You get it? Right. Yeah, so I agree with those who think that those who are behaving that way have clinical problems, psychological problems. In fact, it's a mental issue and must be taken to the mental facility and attended to as such. That is my thinking. That is my thinking. But, you know, elsewhere, the president has said, you know, it's happened somewhere. When he was growing up in London, it was an anathema, okay? Something nobody wants to hear about. But today, is it an Anglican church, the major church, the Presbyterian church and co, in those places are accepting those things. So those are worrying. But hey, having said that, I think I'm happy that we are making progress on the front of the ministers. I salute the Attorney General, and I think we should look at these issues of the processes, the days that will be counted for the bill, the 93% or whatever. It doesn't mean you should ignore about the 7% or whatever. You get it? And two, it doesn't mean we don't want this thing to be looked at. You get it? The law, but we have laws that are dealing with that. But we wanted a comprehensive law that would deal with it holistically. And I think we should. This was a private member's bill. It's going to bring financial commitment of the state to it. So we need to look at all the nitty-gritties, dot the I's and cross the T's before we proceed. So I know today some may be thinking the president is just being cautious to guide us. He is our father to do the right thing. Let the court finish, and then he will do what is needed of him to do, so that we build our country. Leslie, thank you so much for coming. I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you so much for coming, Prince. I'm so grateful for your time. Let me say a very good evening to the Upper West Regional Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Chairman Bonas. Chairman Bonas is a brother and a friend. Chairman, good evening. I greet you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful that you took time to watch tonight's edition of the program. Good evening to Chairman Stephen Ofoswejari. He is the, the chairman for Otusenya East constituency of the National Democratic Congress. Good evening to you, my very good friend and brother, Samuel Oku, and then Michael Ochibefi, Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry. This is our time we'll last on the program. Make a time with us, same time next week. My name is Justice Apia, and the show has me hot news. Goodbye.
African.
Hello there, welcome to the Thursday edition of the morning show Good Morning Africa, live here on Pan-African Television. As usual, we are live from our studios here, number 48, Swanika Street in Abelengpe, also in 46 South African countries via satellites, in some parts of Europe and of course South America. On Facebook, you can join us at facebook.com/Pan-African Television.